Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons. Extra special thanks to guest lecturer patron Ryan Lilly. Thank you for your support. Enjoy the video. Hey there, Rulers, DMO73 here. Welcome back to Ruler School. Today I am bringing you a deck profile that was submitted by a patron. This was submitted by Justin Shropshire. It is his OG tree control list. It is very interesting. It primarily revolves around using, getting to a game state where you pretty much just can't kill him, and then kind of just beating you over the head once you hit to that point. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about that, and then it backs up that with a lot of cancel spells and protection to make sure that the combo pieces are put into place. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Yggdrasil is a one-sided ruler, and it just says, if damage dealt by a source your opponent controls would reduce your life to 0 or less, specifically damage, for the first time, you only go to 100 instead. Then you get to go grab a Avatar of the Seven Lands Alice and Blade of the Seven Lands Excalibur X and put them into your field, and then shuffle your main deck. So keep in mind that loss of life is not going to trigger this. But if any other thing, burn damage, attack damage, anything else would take it down to 0 the first time, poof, you get to go get Alice and Excalibur X. So let's talk about these two cards. So Avatar of the Seven Lands Alice, 6-drop, 15/15. It's got quick cast and precision. If damage would be dealt to you, the player, it's dealt to her instead. And then Excalibur X says you, as a player, cannot be targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls. So that immediately is a protection there. And Avatar Alice. And if it's targeted by anything, it immediately gets canceled unless your opponent pays 2 more. So then if you have 2 of these on the field, your opponent has to pay 4 extra to even be able to target Alice with anything. So yeah, that's a lot of cool stuff, and we'll kind of explain how the Alice becomes this massive beater that just can't be killed if you protect it appropriately, and then you as the player can't ever be killed because Alice can't ever be killed, so you just kind of finish your opponent off that way. So we play 4 Lorite just for some early game protection as well. In Wander, there's a lot of enter effects, and you're playing a primarily green deck, so you use it for that. And then we use Muse, Celestial of Music. Now this is another big piece of the combo. So when it enters the field, you pick a card type, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's the named type, you put it in your hand. That's minimal. It's the second part. If a Resonator you control would be dealt damage less than its defense, prevent it. So if Muse is on the field, and you have Avatar Alice, and she's up to, say, let's just say 1900 defense, right? Anything less than 1900 damage in one shot is just going to get negated by Muse. So then you're protected, and then Avatar Alice can't be protected by anything. But I know what you're saying. You're saying, Jeremy, how do we protect the Muse? Well, we'll get there in a little bit. As another big body to help finish closeout games, we do play the Karura, and then we play this really big package of cancel spells. 4 Seals of Wind and Light, 3 Zekes. The other reason why Zekes is important is because it allows us to shuffle our deck, so if the game goes long, we can keep shuffling forever. 3 Keen Sense for some cancels, and popping standbys, which is relevant. 2 Wall Winds, because again, early game cancels are there. 2 Ruin Stories, because it's a cancel, a sacrifice, or it helps us bring back an Alice back to our hand if one got milled or destroyed too early. A couple of Zeros of Magic Lights for some removal. Interdimensional Escape if boards go wide to keep ourselves safe. 2 Realms of the Pure Spirit. Here's part 2. So Realm of the Pure Spirit says Resonators you control that are recovered can't be targeted by spells or abilities. So you have Muse, she's recovered, in Realm of Pure Spirits protects her, and then because of that combination, Avatar Alice can't ever really be killed by damage, ta-da, and can't ever be targeted really easily, so you just have this kind of impenetrable lock. Just for some safety net, we do play Flourishing Hope, which turns to Burgeoning Despair for some removal. To help us dig into our combo pieces, we play 2 Foment of the World trait, also gives us life gain, which is awesome. And then we play 2 Blade of the Excalibur, so that if we have one happen to draw into our hand, Yggdrasil can still go grab a different one. Going into the stone deck, it's a pretty interesting amalgamation of stones. So 2 Deep Woods and a Black Silence, 2 Dark Depths, 4 Gusting Skies, and 1 Black Silence. Oh, sorry, not Black Silence. This should be, my apologies, this should be a Heaven's Rift and 1 Heaven's Rift. So I'll fix that real quick. So we've got 4 different colors here. We've got black, green, blue, and white represented in a pretty interesting combination. None of the colors are green is probably the most important color, and that makes sense because we have 7 green sources. Follow that up with light being the second most powerful, and then we really want blue and black. kind of tied there. So it helps us keep everything nice and balanced. White is the most important, I think, though, especially green is the most important because we're trying to cast all those cancels and stuff, and then we need the white to be able to back up things like Realm of Pure Spirits, Interdimensional Escape, and so on and so forth. Quickly to go through the sideboard just that's being used: 2 null pages, an Eternal Tower. Every card in this deck costs more than 1 pretty much, so this is just going to be helpful safety net on our end. A Black Moonbeam to deal with J-Rulers, Evil Elemental Uprising, Destruction of the Portal, 2 Sign of the Future because you're playing a pretty low Resonator count, Heavenly Gust, Abdul to deal with enters that may and perhaps get around Alice being targeted, so that's a nice protection. And then Zero's the King Blade to make sure that your stuff can't be bounced. You'd play this against decks like Mercurius and stuff like that if you happen to play against them. But there you guys have it. That is the deck. Huge thanks to Justin for sending in this list. If you guys want to see one of your deck lists featured here on the channel and talked about with credit to you, go ahead and consider joining us on Patreon or as a member here on the channel. Click on that little join button. It goes to support the channel and you get to show off your stuff. But until next time, thanks again to Justin, and this has been DMO73 saying class dismissed.